There are about 1 Golgi's tendon body to every fiber in that arm, between the tendon and the muscle. You will get an involuntary reflex for the muscles to relax. That's called a Golgi's tendon reflex. It's a pressure receptor. It only responds to pressure. It does not respond to a strike. If I hit that, even if his arm is out and stiff, I'm not bending his arm. But if I press and rub, I take him down very easily. Same way with the arm to the side. I'm going to have my arm on here, push and roll the arm down to the side and get that reflex action. Thank you. If you turn the person's arm so his little finger is about a 45-degree angle from you, right where that muscle rolls around, right in there is a pressure point. Okay? That pressure point affects the heart. If I'm holding this pressure point down at my wrist, at his wrist, tight, and I'm going to lightly tap that, because he's not one of my students, I'm going to lightly tap him, you will cause a little shock to go down the arm. Okay? And the angle is going to be here and down. If you turn the finger at a 45-degree angle out, halfway between the shoulder and the elbow, right on the edge of the muscle, right in a little valley right down here, is a pressure point. If you grab the wrist tightly, here, turn it so I don't pull too hard, and strike this down just like it looks like a down block. Are you there? Relax. There's a pressure point right on the back of the arm. Instead of going for the Golgi's tendon, there's a point right up on the side of the flag here that if I hit, you can knock the person out with. Each of the techniques in here, in the kata, are very effective when you take somebody out. It is somewhat dangerous. You do have to revive the individual. You have to know how to do the revival. So this, that shows as a down block in many places, can be a way to knock somebody out if you do it correctly. If you do it rather lightly, if you just do it rather lightly, you can get the person just to buckle a little bit and bend over. If you do it correctly, hard, the right angle and the right direction, they go out with that. So we've got this down here. Now we come across for a punch. If a person grabs you, let me get a big guy. Wait, let me use you. If we get a big person and they grab you with a cross-hand grab, if I pull that back to my waist and punch across, but now I have the Golgi's tendon back here, where I pull it down to my waist and up hard and step into a deep, long horse stance, you break the person's arm very easily because you get the point to relax. You snap up and underneath of it. That's a grappling application. A striking application is if you hit a pressure point right up underneath the arm. Again, the tip of their elbow lays into the center of your palm. If you lay your thumb right in between the muscles, that is a pressure point just by pushing. Now, if I were doing this for real, you would take the person's arm, turn it, and punch into that point. I will not punch anybody there. I do not want to punch anybody there because it is an extremely dangerous pressure point. Believe me, if you hit this hard enough, you can paralyze their arm. You may give them a heart attack. This directly affects the heart. Never, ever do that on their left side. If you're going to practice it and try it, do it on their right arm only. To give you an example, I'm going to use that knuckle and I'm going to strike very, very lightly here. I will not hit it hard. Watch how little my hand moves. I do not want to punch that on someone because it is very easy to bruise that area. It is very, very easy to hurt somebody with that technique. Do not try punching anyone there unless your life is in danger. That is very, very dangerous. So this movement here can be a punch to the arm and drop the individual very, very quickly. The next motion here, twisting, a back fist, again, can be a very quick and efficient technique. It can be used as a grappling technique, or it can be used as a strike. If we combine the down block with an arm bar and this technique, we can make a person go into an arm bar very, very easily. Let's see here. Shane, let me use you again. I like to use Shane because he's big, tall. If someone grabs here, I want to pull my hand back to my waist and do a back fist. This is for a grapple. Grab on his sleeve, back fist. Notice how that bends his arm. If I've grabbed right on his sleeve, right above the Golgi's tendon, I can now do the down block by grabbing his wrist, and I'm down a down block, where I take him right down. But you can also use this back fist as a striking technique. If I come in along the side of the neck, right along the sternocleidoid muscle, right here, right where you feel a pulse, is a bifurcation of the carotid and the jugular. And a lot of people, when you're talking about knockouts, and you see pictures, or you hear people talking about you're hitting somebody on the side of the neck and knocking them out, they say that you're hitting the jugular or you're hitting the carotid, and that you're stopping the flow of blood to the brain. And that's why the person passes out. That's a partial truth. What actually happens there, at the bifurcation of the carotid and the jugular, and bifurcation means that it's like a Y, right in the middle of that, there are pressure receptors. There are actually stretch receptors called baroreceptors. If I stretch a baroreceptor slow, gently, and easily, the blood pressure in the body will drop slowly, gently, and easily. If I stretch the baroreceptors quickly, the blood pressure changes quickly. The blood pressure drops quickly. The body wants to equalize the blood pressure in the body. So it lays out flat, so the blood pressure can equalize. So if I get and hit a pressure point quick here, off and on, very quickly, you get a little buzzy sensation like that. Now if you get, man, why don't you come up behind him? Now I'm not going to come in, turn and grab and twist him down into here to hit this, because that makes it more dangerous. I'm going to just put my arm here and just use the flat, muscly part, both bones out, and just lightly tag him on the neck. And get a nice buzzy sensation out of that. If you crank on that hard, you stand a chance of maybe dislocating or jostling around the third or fourth cervical vertebrae, which is very, very dangerous. Thanks. At the third cervical vertebrae, nerves go out to control the diaphragm and the lungs. If I disrupt that, then the lungs don't work too well. The diaphragm doesn't work too well. And if you would break at that point, snap the neck, and disrupt the nerves, the person dies. So I do that really lightly, not very hard. My main intent is just to get on and off the baroreceptor and get his blood pressure to begin to move a little bit. You have that in the form. Then you have a technique like this. This technique here can be done high, it can be done low. Either way it works. This same technique coming down here in this punching area could be used to strike down on the arm and punch pressure points on the face. Pick a point on the face, use the knuckles, and punch up. And strike straight into them. Doesn't matter if they grab with one hand or both hands. When you're like this and they've grabbed you, you still have both hands free. Bring the hand down and under and punch. And hit a pressure point on the body and take them straight out. It is so effective to hit pressure points on the head. If I'm down here, you can buzz someone very nicely, very easily, and take somebody out with that. For example, on a person's head, there are 3 pressure points. One is right here, and 2 right here. You have 3 points that are grouped together. If I make my hand in a cupping shape, like a popping sound when you clap, I can use this portion of my hand, this portion of my hand, and the base of my palm to strike on his forehead, right in here. I'm going to put my hand behind his head so when I hit it, it doesn't whiplash his head back. I'm not going to try and hit pressure points in the back of the head. That'd be cheating. I don't need to cheat. I just don't want him to be jarring smack with his head. But right on here, and a little twisting action will get the person to buzz. There. Okay. Okay. That little slapping palm action can also be included with a technique here in my hunching. This technique can take a person out and hurt them very, very badly. In demonstrations, I'll open my hands and hit with the palm of my hand and the back of my hand. If you use the fist, you have a potential of killing the individual. Remember, what's my catching? If I use the knife edge of my hand, reverse knife edge here, and hit here, and palm on the head at the same time, you can take the person out. See? If you do that technique with a fist, you stand a potential of hurting the person seriously. You can hurt them with this, don't get me wrong. You can really hurt somebody badly if you hit them too hard with it. Get a headache out of this technique. I know, I've been hit with it. You get a headache with it, and you say, oh, I'm okay. But you're a little disoriented for an hour or so. This technique will knock somebody out cold. This technique can kill the person because you can hit with the knuckles and really dig into the pressure points. When you're coming back with these pressure points and coming out like this, the next technique you see is this. That always looked goofy to me. What would you do in a real fight, a real self-defense technique that would do this? This is real important. It maps out pressure points on the legs that you would attack. Pressure points that you would kick, that you would take out on the individual. If I kick this pressure point like I would do in the form and strike the person on pressure points, you'll knock them out and do it very seriously. Mike, let me use you a minute. And when I do this, I want to do it real lightly. I don't want to hurt him. But if they're standing somewhat facing you, let's see, what would be a good angle for this? I'll give you this way. Okay, if they're standing face